Good morning, Card Media. It's RJ back with another video. Let's get to it. Today's random Mike Schmidt item of the day. Item here from the 2002 Fleer production called the Fall Classic. Fleer put out a set highlighting players who appeared in the World Series. I didn't go through every name in the checklist, but I bet there's a couple who were just star players of the day who may not even appeared in the Fall Classic, but don't quote me on that. In this case, this is a card. This is not a insert card. It is part of the regular subset called, what do they call it here? The All-Time Series Team. So these are your third basemen, George Brett and Mike Schmidt. Each one had a great World Series in some time in their history. Brett and his team won the World Series in '85, lost to us in 1980. Rah, 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 rah. Mike Schmidt obviously won the World Series in 1980. Like I said, Brett lost the World Series in 1980, won one in '85. Schmidt lost the World Series in '83, won one in '80. So they've got very similar careers, these two. That's my random Mike Schmidt. Oop, I bumped it, sorry. A little bump there. My random Mike Schmidt item of the day, my random baseball item of the day, still going through baseball films. This is one of my, I don't want to say my favorite films, but I did like this a lot. This one is called The Perfect Game. Now, before I get into this, I do want to say I have another film in my collection called Perfect Game. It just doesn't have the word "the" in it. Literally, it's called Perfect Game. Based on a true story, this one is The Perfect Game. Basically, what it does is it follows the exploits of a group of boys from a little town somewhere in Mexico who came to the World Series in 1958, the Little League 1957, the Little League World Series. Kind of put this up here so you can read that at your pleasure. And if you see there, the Padre standing behind the boys, Cheech Marin. This guy down here, I can't remember his name. What does it says his name? Clifton Collins Jr., I believe. I don't recognize the name, but I recognize the face. I've seen him in a lot of other movies over the years. Anyway, the team makes it to the World Series. They actually won, if I remember correctly, the World Series that year. But the reason it's called The Perfect Game, it's because this team, the pitcher on this team, did something that I do not believe has ever happened since. He literally pitched a perfect game in one of his Little League starts. So Little League, it's one of those things where there's almost always one pitcher who's incredibly dominant. And if they were permitted to pitch that pitcher every single game, they'd almost certainly win. But, they got to switch up the pitchers. They can't always pitch the same kid. Anyway, I believe this team actually won the Little League World Series the year 1957. Sorry, I didn't look it up, but I'm just raving about the film. It's a lot of fun. Certainly with kids, it's a lot of fun. So I'm a fan. It's a great story. It was just a lot of fun to watch. All right. So today's trivia question, keeping with the theme, another Topps Rolling Tech card. Newest Hall of Famer, third baseman. Check this one out, 1999, Topps Tech. Scott Rowland, third baseman. So, in keeping with all the other questions I've asked this week, third baseman MVP. Who was the first MVP to win the award being recognized primarily as a third baseman? In other words, who was the first third baseman ever to win a league MVP award? All right. Now, this is in the modern era, so I need to caveat this. Some of you might go back into the early days of baseball and find out where this person won what they considered a league MVP award back in the 1800s or the early 1900s. No, this has to be in the modern era of the MVP award, which started in the 30s. Okay? So you can't go back prior to 1930 with your research on this one. I've had a lot of people taking my question and spinning it because I wasn't clear. Well, I'm being clear there, okay, guys? All right, the first league MVP who was a third baseman. Let me know. All right, please email me the correct answer. My email will be in the description below, along with the repeat of this question. You'll have today and tomorrow to answer, and we'll pick a winner on Sunday, all right? Good luck with that. So, today, what I want to highlight seems like an odd choice of a set to highlight. It's not a very valuable set. It's not a very interesting set, but it does have a lot of history behind it. First of all, it is the 1992 Topps set. So, here is my 1992 factory set of Topps cards. As always, it was 792 cards. Topps began issuing cards, Topps began issuing sets of cards numbering 792 back in 1982. That was the first year they hit that number. They've been doing it ever since. They've gone up and down over the years, but by 1992 they were still at 792. There was obviously a single run of pack cards, one series issued to start the year. There was an update set released at the end of the year, updates and rookies, or trades and rookies. Now, a couple firsts. This was the first year Topps issued its cards with the white paper background. I'm going to show you the card real quick. Here's card number 1 was Nolan Ryan. Great idea, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. It was the first year that Topps went away from their cardboard color back and went to the white paper stock. All right? First year ever. It was also the first year that Topps no longer inserted gum into their packs of cards, which, if you think about it, was actually long overdue, because I don't know when Topps came to the realization they made more money selling the cards or manufacturing cards than they did manufacturing gum products. I don't know when Topps, they were so pushed back so hard back in the mid-70s when the lawsuit started so that Fleer and Donruss could come on the board. They should have known, the world knew by then that they didn't sell cards. They didn't sell gum. They sold baseball cards. That's what Topps does. Anyway, this is the first year they didn't include gum in the packs. First year of white card stocking. It was also the first year of a parallel set. This set included the full 792 cards plus 10 Topps gold cards. And here is my Wally Backman Topps gold parallel version. So every card had a gold parallel, and the gold parallel, you can get 10 in the set, but they also came 1 per pack. So these are not rare, just like the current version of your gold cards are limited to, they're only limited to 2000 and whatever the year is, that's how many gold parallels they'll make. They just didn't, they don't have any value. There's so many of them still. Back then, back in this era, there were really tons. I mean, I don't know how many different parallel sets there are, but there's hundreds of thousands of them from the 90s. Today, there's a limited print run of 2000. This year, there'll be a limited print run of 2023 gold version sets. If you wanted to get one of everybody, that's what you need to go through. Anyway, the sets, the cards, let's highlight the cards for a second. What do the cards look like? Standard cards, they were issued in vertical and horizontal format, landscape and portrait version, if you will. I love the Griffey. They tried, as they've been doing for years, Topps started getting more action photos in their cards. Even starting back in the 70s, they tried to get more action poses. Certainly with the advent of Upper Deck and the high-end card market, even the base company cards started stepping up their game a bit. Here's a great Sean Dunston card, kicking up some dirt as he's sliding in there. That's a great action pose. I like this one, the Rick Wilkins, because he's, taking off the mask, looking up for a pop-up. He's shading his eyes from the sun with his glove. The umpire is struggling to get his position to see if he's going to catch it or not. Very cool action shot. Love this over Larry Walker. Walker's got his foot on the bag. He's trying to get this guy diving back to first, the pitcher, Jeff Blauser, diving back. So somebody's thrown over to Larry Walker. This guy's already got his hand on the bag, so he's clearly safe. But that's another great action shot. And Topps always would include standard, random poses of players. Here's your Jim Thome just looking happy and smiling. And your classic hitter pose. There's Billy Ripken swinging through a ball. Looks like he hit it because his eyes are going up after it. And I like this one. Just, again, random pictures. You can see the sweat dripping down. You can see the sweat dripping down Chris Quinn's face on that one. I thought that was a cool little picture. So standard pictures you always see in every Topps product. But they also try to get more artsy. Recently, Studio had come out and Stadium Club, and they're starting to think more and more about cards being art and trying to get artistic photos. And here's a group of ones that I pulled that were very artsy. I like this one. Cal's, closing in on Lou Gehrig, so they had him at Yankee Stadium standing by the Lou Gehrig monument. I think that was a cool pose. Just a Wilson Alvarez gripping the ball, looking all cool there. Love this Lee Smith. He's leaning on the dugout, and they're staring up at him with the clouds behind him. I thought that was a pretty cool thing. A lot of these where you have the person on one side and opposed set of something on the other thing. Looks like Frank Thomas at the batting cage, a bunch of balls laying around him. Looked like he just got all ripped and jacked and ready to crank out some balls. Nice pose of George Brett holding the bat. It's a good use of all the elements in the picture. The wood grain bat right next to Brett, starting to show his age with some more wrinkled lines. This one was interesting to me. Jack Clark, pensive as he's staring out the outfield at Fenway. You can see the Green Monster and the scoreboard in the background. He's just looking very thoughtful as his career comes to an end. Rob Dibble looking nasty, which was his job back then. Andy Van Slyke just kind of happily standing by the batting cage. And then this is an interesting one, I thought. Kelly Gruber, the shadows of something going across his face. He's leaning up probably against the dugout wall or the clubhouse wall, the cement blocks, and holding the bat behind his thing. So they started getting more artsy with their pictures as well. All right. Inside the set, what could you find? Again, everyone included a gold parallel, but some of them included the gold winner parallel. Here's my Gary Carter gold winner. I am trying to put together the full sets of the gold set and the gold winner set. Still struggling with that. Other than the base cards, what else did they have? They had a couple manager cards. Here's two Hall of Fame managers and somebody who maybe someday will get there. Jim Leyland, Tony La Russa, Tommy Lasorda. I like the Tommy one. He's running there. Points for everybody who can name the players in the background there. Ready? Go. I know three of them right off the top of my head. You got Oral Hershiser, Tom Candiotti, and or was it John Candelaria, I think, in the back, right behind Tommy's head is John Candelaria. Gary Carter up here. Not sure who that guy is. That might be Kevin Gross, but I don't know for certain. Anyway, has his whole managerial career there, which was cool. So they had manager cards. Rookie-wise, they still have the standard checklist, which was soon to go away. They stopped producing the checklist sooner or later. So, and they did it by teams. It was interesting. They didn't do it by consecutive numbers like you'd always see. In this case, they would pick a team, and they would list every player from that team and what card number they were in the set. That was an interesting change. You had draft pick cards. Brian Taylor, if you remember, was the guy in baseball that year. Highly talented prospect, left-hander with a cannon arm, which died very quickly. And then obviously Manny's probably the better rookie card of there, but because so many Manny cards were produced, it has zero value. This card is worth nothing at all. So they had they had that. You did have what they called top prospects. So these were the rookies who were expected to do good things. They still had Chipper Jones as a rookie. I guess he hadn't cracked the lineup of the Braves just yet to stay. So he's still considered a prospect, even though his actual rookie card, his draft pick card, was 91. And then you have the Gold Cup cards. Here's Ivan Rodriguez. The Gold Cup, highlighting those players who did something special. You also had record breakers. After the first card, you'd have a few record breakers, and Winfield becomes the oldest to cycle in baseball history. Dave Winfield with a record breaker. And then you had your all-star cards. The all-star cards were usually numbered right around the late 3s, early 4s, as always for Topps. So it was pretty much a standard card set. It really wasn't much different than anything else, except for the gold parallels. I thought that was interesting to note, and the no gum. You could buy, now this was an interesting thing, now you wouldn't think of it today, but you could buy a factory set back then, a gold factory set. They actually sold, in the Christmas season, they sold factory set versions containing only the gold cards, which would also include an autographed Brian Taylor card, because again, he was the hot rookie at the time. So anyway, I think it was a good set to remind you all about some of the interesting things about the 92 Topps set. I'm going to do this more and more often, like I said, try and highlight a set, show you why it has some interesting things in it, show you some of the better cards out of there, and just, again, it's just something I like to do, try and remind everybody that you may not want to get every card in every set, or you may not be a set collector, but every set ever produced has its intrigue, has its interest, has its story to tell. Let's put it that way, all right? All right, I hope you enjoyed everything this week. Kind of stuck with a theme on the MVP and the third baseman trivia. Stayed similar on the Mike Schmidt and the baseball items. And everything else is shaping up well, I hope. So thank you for all stopping by. Please consider subscribing, commenting, and all that jazz. I do appreciate your support. Thanks for watching. Come back on Sunday for the recap. Take care.